So, hi, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome everybody. My name is Atila Kiss, and I work for IBM, and I'm responsible for trusted technology for Central and Eastern Europe. Sorry for the English. It would be better to speak the local language. Today, I would like to talk about financial fraud prevention, and I would like to emphasize the word prevention. So, with our technology, you will be able to, or you are able to actually prevent the fraud, and it's really important, preventing the fraud rather than detecting afterwards when the fraud was committed. Considering that today's mainstream fraud is financial fraud and targets online banking application, I would like to talk about today financial fraud targeting online banking application. And sometimes I just think that why is that? Why is the mainstream fraud today? Of course, if you, from fraudster point of view, if you consider that actually making money, the easiest way to make money is actually to steal money, you will understand that why is the mainstream thing. I understand that stealing corporate information, for example, by advanced malware, what you just heard from the Cisco's colleague. It's important and it's really valuable for the fraudsters, but there is an indirection. And the indirection that actually first you need to steal the corporate information, then you have to sell it to somebody. In terms of financial fraud, if you gain, I would say, credentials or gain access to the online accounts and you steal money, you have the money immediately. That's why we see it like really mainstream today. And there is a new saying in the industry, like in banks. So for banks, there are two options. Either the first, you have fraud before, or you haven't realized it. That's why we will talk about financial fraud targeting online banking application. First, I would like to talk about the problem. The first problem is that bank and financial institutions spend a lot of money on internal security. Is it a problem? It's not a problem because we sell security solutions to financial institutions as well via IBM. But the problem is it doesn't help for preventing yourself for financial fraud. And why is that? Because what we are seeing right now, that the biggest breach today, considering the online banking application, is the online banking channel, and of course the end user. And what is the real problem? The real problem is that actually the bank itself can control the internal security, but cannot control the end user computer. And I think the biggest problem is that they can't control user behavior. Of course, we'll see that the banks try to educate the end users how to protect themselves, how to install antivirus, how to protect the computer, but actually we don't see that it's kind of really effective in reality. So what we see right now is the bank, and hopefully I don't have to describe all these things here, like encryption, antivirus gateway, because the previous presentation was all about how to protect your internal systems. And if we consider a normal online banking channel, like the value chain of the online banking, we have the end user protected with either antivirus or without antivirus, and it will do transaction in the bank. The bank is well protected, and we have the cyber criminals, we call it like fraudsters. And the fraudsters, because of the so-called internal security, they really understand that it's really hard to hack into the network. That's why they just found two links. I think they thought it's really easy to hack into the end user computer, and then it's really easy to tamper with the transactions that actually the end user commits, or actually where the fraudster started as a fraudulent transaction. I think if we consider that it's like easy or not easy, we will understand that it's not easy. The big problem that there is an industry right now, and if you're a fraudster, you can rent out full infrastructures, malwares, configuration, all the setup like technical support for 24/7 in order to commit fraud, and that's the problem. So we are facing right mainstream fraud, like financial fraud, and the big problem is that today everyone or everybody can commit really easily fraud. First, we need to understand what is the root cause of the financial fraud, because if we want to prevent the fraud, we need to understand what are the basics. And it's really important. I would like to reference back to the beginning of my presentation that we would like to prevent fraud, because we see a lot of solutions out in the market who actually sits in the background or in the internal security of the banks or financial institutions, and they try to figure out based on statistical figures, based on user behaviors, based on a lot of statistics, whether it was a fraud or, for example, a committed transaction or not. The big problem is that if you are identified so late, then the fraud is already committed and you can easily miss actually the detection. The other problem is that actually if you have a fraud, you will generate a lot of false positives. False positive means that you will flag a transaction, or you may flag a transaction fraudulent, and it wasn't fraudulent. So that's why it's really important to understand what are the main drivers or what are the root cause of the fraud. And what we have seen today, actually the main drivers targeting the online banking application is malware, financial malware. You have to understand the financial malware is a really special malware type. And it's the main aim of this financial malware to target online banks. And that's why we have to really focus on the financial malware, not every malware like antivirus does, or advanced malware so-called. Because advanced malware can steal information, can steal money, can steal credentials and so on, but we are really focusing on like the financial malware. And the other driver is of course the phishing. Everybody knows what phishing is. The big problem that the end user computer and what we see right now as countermeasures from banks and from end users are not really effective. I will talk about it later. And that's why if we want to really fight against financial fraud, we have to deal with malware infections and phishing attacks. What you see right now is a picture from an online bank. And this from an online banking application. This is the landing page. I would say the login page. And on the left side, the man-in-the-browser malware or financial malware. Financial malware usually attacks the browser application, of course, because we use the online banking application throughout our browsers. And what it can do, like a financial malware, like a man-in-the-browser malware, like it can do everything. What we have seen on the left side, it modified the login inputs for the online banking application, for the landing page. And actually, it put in a date of birth field. And with this financial malware will steal the date of birth of ours. And actually, what is really surprising, that in old school days, the financial malwares were not so sophisticated. And we called it like a web injection, like injecting a new fields to the, for example, the online banking application, and you can spot it. So if you have some awareness or something, the colors were different, the spelling was bad. Right now, it's perfect. So I'm a security specialist, and I cannot even spot that actually this is a web injection. And with this, they can steal personal identity information, they can steal money, they can steal every credential of what we have today. And of course, for example, this example, the date of birth, sometimes banks use like security questions as a verification of the identity. And that's why the PII is really important for the fraudsters as well. And if we consider that what man-in-the-browser malware can do, a financial malware can do, it can do like everything. So basically, if you consider that if a malware attacks your browser, infect it on your computer, afterwards, because it will gain the whole access to the browser, it can read your identity, it can store your password, it can manage your balance, it can read your everything, like it can modify the detail of your transactions, it can change your password and lock you out of your account, and so on. We have seen a lot of really interesting attacks nowadays. So for example, one was that actually when you clicked on the logout button of your online banking application, the malware presented the logout screen, but actually it kept your session authenticated and it committed automated transaction from an authenticated session. And what you have seen, you see actually that you logged out your online banking application and everything is just fine. The big problem is that right now the sophistication of the malwares is really high. It means that they can bypass every form of like authentication or every form of multi-factor authentication or CAPTCHA or challenges. I don't have pictures for that, but I will have it later on. To understand the threat, I would like to go through the traditional approaches, how we protect the online banking applications and or login session today. The first is the well-known antivirus application. And of course, it's really important, so we don't advise to remove your antivirus application. What we say that actually you have to be really aware that the antivirus application is not enough. There is a really infamous malware called Zeus. We call it Zeus, like in English called it Zeus. And this is a really mainstream malware, financial malware nowadays. And there was a big attack, and after the attack, a security researcher firm made a short research on that, and it found that actually 65 of the machines infected with Zeus have installed antivirus. And the big problem that from this 65%, 55% was really up to date. It means that if you are really aware of your security, if you are really aware of updating your operating system for antivirus system and so on, it's really not enough. And why is that? Because the antivirus companies has a really broad focus. And of course, they cannot do everything, and they can really focus on the malwares. And what is the other problem? We will talk about it later, the mechanism. So what we do in Trust here, we really understand the malwares, and we don't follow patterns, we don't follow signatures, like finding the malwares. We are not care about actually the name of the malware, but we really know how the malware operates. It means we know how it will attack the browser, we know how it will install themselves, how they modify the registry keys and so on. So we have 100% sure when we see a malware, then there is a malware and we can safely remove it. On the other hand, the antivirus is actually just looking for sometimes just the file names of the hash of the file names, the binaries, the modification and so on. And of course, based on the research, is really not effective against financial malware. This is just one concern. The other concern, it's okay, but because we are really think that we are secure, if we use advanced, or this is not advanced anymore, this is, I would say, legacy. Advanced countermeasures like out-of-the-bound authentication, verification. So for example, when we log into the online banking application, we will get an SMS. And we will type in the SMS, and then if we type in the SMS, then we can log in. And then if we do a transaction, like we transfer funds, transfer money to anybody, then we will get another SMS. We call it out-of-the-bound verification. Right now, it's, I don't want to say useless, but for example, with the man-in-the-mobile malware, it's really easily evadable by the fraudsters. So what basically happens, then we will download by the fraudster actually malware to our mobile phone, and then we get the SMS for out-of-the-bound verification. The malware will transfer the SMS to the fraudster as well. So sometimes, if we will talk about later the fraud vectors. So for example, there is a fraud vector we call account takeover, when the fraudsters will get our credentials, and from another device, another laptop, they will gain access to the online banking application. And for example, if there is an out-of-the-bound verification, they will get the SMS because our mobile phone will automatically direct the SMS to the fraudster mobile. And we can talk about challenge questions. If you think about the last slide or the previous slides, what we had, like the date of birth, they can easily get this challenge questions or actually the answers for the challenge questions, and they can bypass it. If you have OTP devices like one-time password devices, login signing, virtual browsers, there are really techniques right now in place. And the last one is really important, like the clickstream detection. So for example, there are detection techniques, like fraud detection techniques, which sits in the background and watch, for example, the user behavior throughout the online banking applications. And I don't know, 2 years ago, usually when there was an automated transaction by the malware, it was like click, 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 click. They navigated through the online banking applications, I don't know, in 5 seconds. And it was easily detected that it's a robot. It's not a human. Because the human will click, will type in the account number, type in the amount to transfer, then click transfer and so on, and it takes like seconds, minutes, and so on. And right now, the malware can actually adopt human-like behavior. And it means the backend detection system, like the clickstream detections, just not working anymore. What you will see here that everybody thinks it's okay, it's all right. I have antivirus, I have these things. The malware can actually evade these kind of protections, but I don't have malware because I don't visit porn sites, I don't visit black market forums, I don't visit like any harmful things. I just visit Blitz. I just visit, I don't know, sports news. I just visit YouTube. And the big problem that what you will see right now, that Yahoo, as a news site, hosted malware in an advertisement. Click.
Have you clicked on an ad on a Yahoo webpage any time in the past few days? Well, if you did, your device may now be infected with malicious software, otherwise known as malware. The internet security firm Fox IT says 300,000 users were visiting infected ads every hour. The damaging programs may have started spreading December 30th. It is yet another headache for Yahoo, which was hit with a large outage on its email service just last month.
So the statistics, actually 300,000 users per hour was infected because they clicked on an advertisement. So they didn't download any malicious software, like free software, anything. They just clicked, and actually the malware exploited, I don't know, JavaScript or some other vulnerabilities in the browser, and every computer was infected. And that's why this is really a problem, because we have a really sophisticated technique by the fraudsters, how to evade all the techniques what we have today, like gaining access to the online banking application. And actually, in order to just get infected, you don't need to visit anything right now. You don't need to download anything. You just visit a site, a really legit site, and you get infected. Trusteer, founded in 6-7 years ago and actually acquired by IBM in 2013 September, so 6 months, 7 months. What I would like to highlight here, and I will talk about it later on, that we are right now protecting 100 million endpoints. And it's really important, not because this is a big number, but the big number implies a lot of interesting things. But I will talk about it later. You know that we are protecting big institutes. They are trusting us, and based on the experience, they actually get rid of the fraud entirely. Or solution architecture. So actually, we have layer 1 solution. First of all, it means that actually we are protecting really the end user devices. We have agents that we will put on the PCs and Macs, and we will have mobile solutions that actually could be part of a normal online banking application, like a mobile application, and could be a security browser. And based on the security browser, you will see that actually we can detect malwares, we can detect phishing, we can remove the malware's infection, and we can sign actually the risk level of the device as well. We have clientless solutions. It means you don't need to push anything on the end user devices. We have 2 big solutions, the Trusteer Pinpoints platform, and actually with this solution, you can detect the malware or the infection on the end user computer. And with this, you can actually solve the problem or prevent the fraud. And how is that? If you can detect, for example, that there is a live man in the browser malware sitting on the end user computer, you can somehow change the behavior of the online banking application. You can, for example, reduce the functionality of the online banking application. So, for example, the customer can log in. They can see a lot of things. So, for example, a customer can see the balance. The customer can see the information in the online banking application. But, for example, the customer cannot transfer money or can transfer money, but we will flag the transaction as not fraudulent but risky. And we have the same solution for mobile as well. And the other account takeover detection, actually, we can detect that if there was a phishing attack or there was a malware attack against a user community, and there is a new device, typically a fraudulent device, and from this fraudulent device, somebody wants to actually connect to the online banking application with the stolen credentials, we can say that this is an account takeover, but I will talk about it later on. And we have the cyber intelligence. You have to understand that we don't sell like boxes, we don't sell like agents, or software development kit like SD keys, but we sell managed services. Managed service means that we have a cybercrime intelligence and we are really tapping into all the latest malware news and so on. And if we see a new detection or evasion mechanism, or we see a new fraudulent technique type, then we will build in, like within minutes, hours, or days into our products. And we will update the configuration. It means that we will see a new malware, then can evade, so for example, our detection system. We can update the whole infrastructure, we can update the whole ecosystem, and we can push the newest configuration even within 20 minutes. So what are the typical fraud threats vectors? There is the World Wide Web. You will visit Blitz, or you will visit Yahoo website, and then you will download actually malware, and there will be from your computer it can actually commit automated transactions or automated transaction fraud, or you can visit a phishing site, and if you are not aware of that it's a phishing site, then you will lose your personal identity information. The other part, as I told, there are two fraud vectors, like account takeover and new account fraud. Account takeover means that the fraudster stole your or steal your identity information, username, password, and all the security questions what you may have, and then they will access with these credentials from a different computer. A new account fraud, based on the information they collected, they will open up a new account. What's the reason behind? I will talk about it later. We have, of course, mobile fraud risk and mobile fraud engines, and we have actually advanced threat protection for employees, but I don't want to talk about this today. I don't want to kill you about features and functions of our products, but I would like to show why are we, I think, unique really in this field. The first thing that when the company was founded, there were like 4 or 5 big values or like fundamentals that the company was built on. First is that if you want to put something on the end computer, like the end customer computer, it shouldn't harm the user experience, because it's really important. If you have an antivirus software, it will slow down your computer. It will challenge you with questions. So for example, I have a Symantec. Symantec is really good, actually, I think. And it challenges me always with questions like, do you want to allow this process to go to the internet? I don't know, because I don't know this process, I don't know this application. It could be anything. It could be an updater, but it could be a malware. We won't never challenge the end user. If you download our product, then it will sit in the background. You won't notice anything except this small flag in the browser, and it will do automatically the uploads, downloads, like the updates and everything. And we will protect, like, we will be really transparent and silent. And it's really important, because a bank never wants to put something on the end user computer. The second thing, we have this so-called threat intelligence. And because of the 100 million endpoints, we will collecting samples all the time, and we are really in the forefront. And you have to understand that, like committing the fraud or understanding the fraud, the timing is really important, because if you have a malware, a new type of malware, and the attack is start, usually the fraud takes place like 2 or 3 days. If you don't understand the malware and the attack type, like right in the beginning, then you lost, again, a lot of money. And of course, you have a really nice and expensive solution for protecting against like financial fraud. But if you don't have this capability, like the adaptive protection, the update capabilities, like the real samples and how to deal with like real attacks, then it's useless. You bought something, and if you face like real attack once, then you will fail. We are detecting malwares. We are not guessing. This is really important. And we understand the crime logic behind the malwares and the phishing, how they use the exploit, infection, hook injects, and so on. Antivirus and statistical-based detection system, like other system, uses like file and signatures and statistical method, what is normal, what is behavioral normal, like normal activity, normal access to the online banking application. No, what we do is actually when we say that this is a malware, this is really a threat, that this has 100% a threat. That's why we never generate false positives. And by not generating false positives, it means that your fraud department can really deal with the actual fraud cases. Actual fraud cases which needs attention. Not a lot of things that you have to select that this is false positive, this was not fraud. Please call, ask the call center to help out with connecting the customer, whether validating was it a valid transaction or not. And then again, the 100 million endpoints. So right now, we actually see fraud and malwares before it gets to the market. And how is that? Actually, we're just not collecting samples from the 100 million endpoints, but actually we are in the underground market. I don't want to talk about this, but actually, usually we get the code before it releases to the target banks. We have really good positioning in the Gartner, but I think it's more important that the customer report really solid success. So Gartner is one thing. We know how Gartner works, but it's really important to understand that our customers are really satisfied. You should know that we are selling software as a service, like managed service, and I cannot talk about this, but the renewal rate is really, really high. It means that the customer sees ongoing protection and sees ongoing value from our products. Yes, I have 1, 2, 3 minutes. I can talk about the product names and features and functions, but it's not important. The really important thing is that you understand that we have a solution that can really prevent the frauds, and we are unique in many ways in the market. But if you want to put on the slides, if we are talking about end user or customer computer protection, that we are talking about Trusty Rapport, which is an agent. If we are talking about client-less solution, which we do like instrumenting the online banking application, then we are talking about trusted pinpoint malware detection. If you talk about mobile, then we have 2 solutions, like the mobile SDK, which you can like really put into your online banking application, like mobile online banking application, and can have a lot of features like detecting and removing the malware even from the mobile. And we have trusted pinpoint account takeover detection, which actually gives you the power to detect from an access from a criminal device or a new device after a phishing attack or after a malware attack, and you can identify that this is not a legit access. And of course, we have Trusted Apex for advanced threat. Yes. I don't want to go further. I will be here, I think, throughout the whole workshop or conference. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you very much.